Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Crew Talk, brought to you by Shoots.video. Today, we will be talking to Rollo. Hey, Rollo.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. I'm over in New Zealand and it's there's no COVID here, so I'm enjoying that.
No COVID, no masks. So we'll be talking
That's
to
right.
Rollo about Webster. He's the CEO and founder of Webster. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And a few house rules before we get started. If you are tuning in, if you have questions throughout our talk tonight, you can drop them in the chat box and we definitely will get to them, or the Q&A box, I'm sorry. Drop them in the Q&A box and we will get to them as we can. And I'm just going to go through right now and have everyone kind of introduce themselves. So kind of say who you are, where you are, and what you do. So Rollo, again, we'll start with you. We know you're in New Zealand. Sounds super fun.
Okay, good. Name is Rollo, and I founded a company called Webster, which is a video review and approval product, which is used by tons of people across the world to try and figure out how they can work with customers and do notes and everything. As you say, I'm in New Zealand. I've actually just come back from the States. I lived over there for a few years as we were trying to do business, but we thought, why not just go to the country that hasn't got COVID? So sorry to brag.
No, I'm sure it sounds nice. You guys are like maskless, like can just like do whatever. Oh, wow, that's
do whatever. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, cool. Well, it's great to have you here. And
Thank you.
What time is it in New Zealand right now?
Let's have a look. 11:02 a.m.
Okay. Now, so you're already in tomorrow. You are.
I'm already in tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. And next we have Jake. Hey, Jake.
Hey there. I'm Jake. I'm jealous of New Zealand. I'm in Bellingham, Washington, and I work for a project management platform called Video Pipeline. So I'm just here to ask some more questions of you, Rollo. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Blake. Hey, Blake.
Hey, everybody. I run a production company called Blair Media with my business partner, Justin, who is actually headed your way, Sarah. I think he's already there. Well, he's not quite your way. He's headed to Houston. He's doing a
nice.
So I took him to the airport. I woke up at 4:30 this morning. He's like, hey, last night he's like, hey, can you give me a ride in the morning? I'm like, 4:30. Yeah, let's see. Anyways, and then we also run a production community called Shoots.video. If you haven't already, please check it out and add yourself as a resource, completely free. Well, I should say it's freemium. We do have some other additional things, but for the most part, completely free. Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Very cool. Awesome. And I'm Sarah, voice actor and your host for tonight. So I guess we'll get started, Rollo, with how you created Webster and why. You want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Cool. So a few years back, I was a full-time video producer. I had a production company doing all sorts of videos, and a lot of my clients were out of town. So we were having to share edits with them on Dropbox or Vimeo behind a password or something. And these products, they didn't really allow for any sort of collaboration at that point. So people would be downloading, I wouldn't know what they're doing, days would pass, and then they'd email you back a whole lot of notes with the wrong time code about the wrong video. And then you're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this? And it's always on fixed budget. So you've got, XYZ dollars, you have to do it within this time frame, and then it just slips and slips. And I was just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And I didn't have a background in software, but I've always been interested in products. I've always loved, hardware products, software products. And so I was at dawn, I was holding my new baby, the sun's coming up, looking out the window. We actually had a view of the sunrise, which was nice. And big old villa. So it had these huge windows covered in dust because it's so high up, you can't clean it from the outside. So I'm holding this little baby, she's a month old, and looking out, and then the sun comes out and it hits the dust, and my eyes rack focus from the view to the dust. And then I go, oh my God, why don't we review videos on videos, just like this dust is in front of the view? And so I threw the baby aside, quickly started to do some drawings and make notes, and called a couple of buddies who make videos and said, hey, blah, 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 blah. Highly excited. They couldn't understand what the hell I was saying. And I said, would this kind of solve your problem? Is this something that you would actually use? And they were like, Jesus, how did you think of that? It's so bloody obvious. And I go, yes, that's potentially what a good idea is that it's so obvious afterwards. People are like, I could have come up with that. And you're like, yeah, but you didn't. And so then it was just a very quick fire, me trying to go into the like tech startup community, find people who know how to do real software stuff, like write code and everything. Found some dudes, found some girls. We got together. We went through a tech accelerator. We did pitching. We raised a whole lot of money. And then we started building this product and getting customers. So that's how we got off the ground.
How long was that process from like tossing the baby to launching?
It was, so tossed the baby in November, launched in August the year after.
Oh, wow.
So that sort of time frame. Yeah.
Nice.
I did since pick the baby up again. Like it's,
oh, good. Okay, good.
I know where she is now. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some of the advantages to using your platform versus like a Vimeo?
Yeah, sure. So I think the key difference that we've found with how we've approached the product, and it was kind of a fluke, is that my obsession is with user experiences, not so much like features and like it can do this, it can do this. It's that you intuitively just know what to do with the product, and it just becomes a part of how you operate. It becomes an extension of a person. So for us, we wanted it to feel completely natural that you would have a video, it would be the center of your experience in a browser, and that you would then just start talking through the video to other people. So the commenting feels very organic. It's right there. It's in real time, so other people can reply to it. And it creates this brand new experience where you are with other people inside an asset. You're inside a video with them, and you're scrolling through time, and the chat pops up, and it pops up again. And on the back end of that, we've created an entire cyclical workflow, which is that all the comments become to-do list items immediately. They can be assigned to people. They start doing the changes and ticking them off. They upload a new version, and it comes up behind the current version. And then you can look at them side by side and watch them play, see what changed. You can look at comments from old ones, and then you can assign tasks to people. Like, I need this person to approve. I need these people to only review. And then you can start to track all the different assets you've got and what stage they're at of review. So we've really created an entire review and approval process instead of just some notes on a video, which is what you find with a lot of products. There's no back into it. They don't go anywhere.
Very cool. Now, Blake, I know you said that you use Webster quite often. So do you have anything you want to add about the user experience side?
I was going to back up a little bit. I was like curious, what was the year that you guys launched? I'm curious when we started and when you guys actually launched.
Yeah, so we launched into beta in August of 2013, and then we launched out of beta. When was it? I think it was maybe November 2014. So it took just over a year of being in beta, where we had paid customers and everything, to then properly launch. And then straight after that, we actually did a partnership with Vimeo, where we became the review side of their product. We did that for a while, then they decided to compete with us, and so we decided to go and work with some other companies.
Well, that's when we started, because we got an email from Vimeo promoting you guys. And we're like,
that's right.
And we were in the middle of, we were using the service. There was a service before called takeoffvideo.com.
That's right.
It's basically similar to what's out here today. But I think it was just like two dudes, and like during on their spare time, because they weren't making any updates. And so we were using it, and like, hey, can you add this? Like, it would be great if you could do that. Like, and we would get response. And then when we finally, when we found Wipster, we're like, okay, this is a good tool. We'll use this. And then when we canceled, we're like, okay, well, we'll keep our subscription for a little bit with them, so we have our assets there. And then, and we won't do a quick cold. We want to make sure that we have everything good, good set up with Webster. But as soon as we canceled, the site went down. They're done. I think that we were like,
really?
Yeah,
you were the only customer.
Yeah, yeah. I think at some point that's why we're getting zero response. Like, what do you want from us? Yeah. She's like, it's all, you're only paying us for like an hour of our time per month or something. Whatever it is.
Oh my god.
Oh man. So it's pretty funny. Yeah, but that was when we saw that, and then when we knew about Frame.io at the same time. But when we looked at pricing. The pricing model for Webster was just a better pricing model. And the reason we liked it, and you might have switched it since then, I'm not sure. We didn't have to worry about taking down videos once we uploaded them, because it seems like you run out of storage with the other ones, or, you have it there. You just have, but in order, you have to go to the next, you keep on moving up the the payments to the next one. And I think the way you guys did it, and I have to revisit what you're doing now, but like, it was beautiful. It was like, oh, we have this many uploads and we can keep our videos there. We don't have to worry about taking it made sense to us. And so we
cool.
I looked at those 2016, and the only reason why I saw that is because I saw an email from you back in 2016. So I was looking at our emails. I was like, oh, hey, that was nice of Rollo to email us a welcoming message and ask us if we need anything. And that was cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of the user experience is not just the software, but it's the experience with the company, and we've had ups and downs in that area. We haven't done everything really, really well, but we do try and make it feel really personal, that you're not emailed by marketing@webster.io or info@Webster. It's Rollo at Webster, or it's Anna at Webster, and that it's a real person, and it literally is a person behind it. It's not automated, and I really think that that's very important. And some companies do scale to like unbelievable sizes where that becomes very hard, but you do have some companies that keep it going. So there's a really cool company called Intercom, and they still have personal communication with every single customer, and they've got millions of users. So they just have lots and lots of people, because they know that part of their offering has to be that there are people behind the software. And I think that's fabulous.
Oh, that's key. I mean, because as companies get too big, then you kind of lose that. And then like, that's something you kind of like about small companies, because you have that human, touch. I think as companies get really big, they kind of lose perspective on that sometimes.
Yeah, I think so too. So that's kind of what we try and do, is that as we're going forward, expanding what the product can do, but also expanding different types of customers that we get, is always thinking about the customer experience as a full 360. And again, we don't always get it right.
Cool. Jake, do you want to pop in with any, I know that I kind of want to introduce you to in general, and I thought that you guys would be a good fit, but I'll let Jake take it from here.
I my project management platform, we are competing with another project management platform that has a review tool built in, and we're trying to figure out whether we build our own or integrate. And I saw that yours was it seems very open integration. How does and this probably will bore everybody else on the call, but are you open as far as like the comments passing back and forth in your API, or what kind of information do you share in your API?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we've got an API which is, to be frank, is really bad. Like it's not a good piece of coding. It's a real shocker. And any dev in the team over here will be, embarrassed to hear that, but also they're like totally agree. And at the moment they're building a new API which is much simpler. Like the one we've got now is just all complicated and some things don't work. So the new one is going to be really, really simple and completely open. Like the current one we have is like public private, so you can access it, but you have to be given a key. Whereas the next one is like Dropbox or someone, you just go in, get the dev information, and you just build your integration. And it's going to be, the API is going to be viewed as review as a service. So instead of us with our products and where people use our products, you'll be able to add review to your product. And so the review becomes your product without it really being that obvious that it's someone else who built the review tool. And you'll be able to use components. So if you want to use the player, or you want to use the commenting box or the version switcher, all those components will be able to be used. And also all of the API endpoints for different things like comments or people or stages or any of those things. They'll all be available as well. And if you were about to ask me, when's that available? I cannot tell you because I just don't know.
Okay.
Devs are mysterious creatures.
I totally get you. That I couldn't tell you when we were going to be coming out with our own version. So I
there you go.
But I'll definitely reach out to you once we're closer on that and see.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
So one of the questions I have here is, if you're already using Frame.io or Vimeo or another service, how easy is it to make the transition to Wipster?
Yeah, well, it's a really interesting thing, because I've been talking with Emery Wells, who's the CEO of Frame, and Anjali Sood, who's the CEO of Vimeo. So we're all kind of vague buddies, but also competitors. So it's a bit weird. What each of us is trying to do is create some form of lock-in to the product, so, you'll build some sort of library. So, if you leave, then you can't take it with you. But if you make that happen, then people are like, but that's my data, so you should give it to me. And so these kind of like old-fashioned lock-ins that you try and build, where you've built some stuff on the software so you can't leave, those don't really work anymore, because people they're just cynical about it. If you did that, they'd give you bad word of mouth, and that's where your company starts to suffer. So in terms of being able to switch between any of these products, we actually have customers who use all three at the same time, because their clients like to use different ones because they've just adopted them. So some people do that. In terms of moving from a Frame.io to us, which is what we see happening once in a while, we don't really see anything happening with Vimeo. Vimeo kind of targets the freelancer, and we're kind of at business up to enterprise. So with Frame.io, people have sometimes built a bit of a library on Frame, but they discover that they also have the library built internally. So it really doesn't matter if you have it up there or not. And the only difference about switching is that you just have to get your team to understand a new product, because they all work slightly differently. And because what I was saying before is that we focus so heavily on the user experience, not so much feature parity and everything else, what you discover is that people adopt our product like immediately. So somebody says, hey, you can't use Frame anymore, you have to log into this. They're a bit annoyed. They're like, oh man, I have to use another product. And then they log in, super easy, and they go, oh my God, I just know exactly what to do. And they then see, and Emery's going to go whatever, but they see that the adoption of the reviewer is higher as well. So the reviewer understands how to use our product more than competitors.
Very cool. Blake, did you have anything you wanted to add with that?
If I wasn't really sure if that was a yes or no. It seemed like a maybe. That
it's hard.
Is it hard? Well, maybe it probably is. I don't know how it's probably is hard. But we have no plans on moving, but say if we're like, hey, we want to use Frame.io, we want to switch over. I don't know how to do that. I think that we would just start clean, because I don't think it'd be worth it to upload old videos to it. And we would just probably keep a Webster account open and then kind of gradually transition. Because we have everything backed up. It's just, it's harder to access it. So it's really convenient. For now, right now using Webster, we have a client email us from 6 months or a year ago. And they're like, hey, I want, to get this video. I'm like, sure, here's the link. And it's super quick because I have it handy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't want to, and that's why I was always worried about some other platforms. I'm scared to move to another platform, to be really, transparent, because I don't want to have to delete files down to make room for new files. I don't like that process. Once it's there, I like that it just stays there. And after maybe 5 years, it's, we would probably never use anything from 5 years ago anyways. But 2 years.
We've got a pretty cool partnership and integration with Dropbox. They're a pretty cool company. They're really trying to figure out collaboration beyond storage. But we have an integration which allows you to upload all of your stuff in Webster into Dropbox, because we don't really want to be a storage company going forward. We want to let best in breed storage companies have really good integrations. And then we're hopefully best of breed review that is then used by the customers of those storage products. So what you could see is that going forward, you could just move all of your stuff across to a Dropbox account if you have one. And then in a very depressing way, of course, you could stop using our product and then adopt any other product. Of course, why would I say that? But I say that because I don't think any company should be trying to keep a customer in a negative way for the customer. It should be that you retain a customer because they are having a better experience with your company than another company, right? And so you should be able to just wander around and do whatever you want as a customer. You give us some money, you don't give us some money, you give someone else some money. And we should just be trying to do the best we can to service the customer, not lock them in.
Sure. Well, and I noticed, I think that's what what people using your platform now are probably doing is because they get to their maximum limit. Or maybe it's a terabyte. I'm not sure what that, maybe their plan is a terabyte, and they're at 900, and they're getting really close. And so like we need to move some files off, and so they'll move old files over to Dropbox or whatever place for storage, or maybe it's even a short-term storage, because like we have all the same files like on tape. We store all of our files to back up tape just in case. You never know in our industry what happens. You might need some footage, and so it's better to be safe than sorry. So we already have it. It's just really convenient to have it ready to go on Webster.
Yeah. So we have a really cool feature, to just talk about features for a second, called Space Saver. And I really like the concept behind it, because what it is, you upload whatever you upload, and we encode a smaller version to play online. And what we found over time is that people were completely happy to deliver that version to a customer, because it's an H.264 1080 at a fairly high bit rate, 4,000 or so. And so with that, they didn't really use the original file anymore. And that could be 8 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, but this new one's like 500 megabytes, So we've got this feature where you can turn on Space Saver. And after a certain period of time, I think it's a few days or a month or something, it deletes the original content of everything, but keeps the encoded version and all the comments and all the collaboration. So it means that you've got relatively small files. You don't have to think about deleting. And it means that people really don't hit storage limits very often at all, because it's really just a capture of the collaboration and a pretty high resolution for if you want to share it with someone at the end.
And so this is something that's featured now with Webster, or is this a thing?
Yeah. It was added probably a year ago.
Okay.
Or so. Yeah.
Got it.
And all you have to do is switch it on, and it happens. It's so cool.
Did not know that. I learned something today.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In the world of voiceovers and I don't know if you're doing acting or things. I haven't really learned a lot. You just said voiceovers. So yes. I'm like, okay, voice actor, cool. Yeah. You might do films and things as well. Very, very cool. In the world of doing that work, how much review do you go through about doing the work? Or is it all kind of live in the studio? They say, do another take, and then it's kind of over? Or do you go through cycles?
So there's a few different ways. So if it is a live session, just so this is my studio. It's in my house. I use Source Connect, so I'm able to connect in with a lot of other studios, no matter where they are. And so when they live direct me, I mean, that's pretty easy. So we'll just hop on, and then they're recording me right in their studio via Source Connect. And it's kind of like, for those who don't, it's like a bridge, between studios. And when that's not happening and somebody hands me a script or emails me a script and says, hey, we have this 30-second, can you send us, a read for it? I'll, usually put 2 reads on it, or read the alt lines a few different ways and send it back. And if they have any changes, usually if people have changes or, say, oh, can you read it this way? It's like 1 or 2 times, emailing back and forth. So,
Yeah, because we've recently added audio review, which lets you upload. So that's kind of why I was interested in the idea of voice work, of going, if it's live, then you really don't need to do review, because they're kind of reviewing in real time.
Right.
But if you're doing these recordings and sending them over, and you've got these few emails coming backwards and forwards, you're just able to upload these audio files and then share the link. And they can comment on the audio file. Hey, can you say it like this? Can you say it like this?
Amazing.
And it's time synced. So
yeah, no, it
awesome.
is.
That
sounds
great.
That actually is very helpful. And I mean, because you deal with so many different people in production companies, people send things so many different ways. And like even today, I was sent a file that just like wouldn't open. So I couldn't even see what the video we're talking about. So, before we go in and do the next session for that, we have to figure out a way that I can even see what, they want me to read. So yeah, that actually would be really helpful.
Interesting. Yeah. Because
I like that idea.
Part of,
Oh, well, I was going to say, the reason why, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Roll. I thought you were stopping, and then I kind of like jumped in, prematurely.
No worries.
What I like about that feature is because what we normally do now, in order to get a client to sign off on it, if we know that there could be issues with the voice read, we'll do a directed session, but we'll have them sit in and sign off on it as we go. Like, does that sound good? Does the last take sound good? They're like, yeah, it sounds good. So that way, we don't have to do another read. And if we do, then we're charging them to do another read because, typically the voice talent is like, hey, this is not included in what I originally quoted you. If we have to do another reread, there's going to be this much cost. And so we typically try to get the client to sign off. But I like the idea of not having them on the read, but we can still do a directed edit as this almost like as a scratch track. Like we could kind of break it down if we already knew who the voice talent's going to be. And like, here, just do a quick read. We're going to do a scratch track, and then we're going to do the edit. And then they can give notes on just the audio portion of what's there. And then we give that to do an actual, like more of a directed read, but with their notes. Like, I think something like that could be a really good workflow. And I think that's a good direction. But continue on, Rollo.
Pardon?
I'm sorry. I said continue on with your messaging.
Sure. So just to tie into what Sarah was saying about a workflow that she might have, when we've opened up to audio, we've seen a lot of podcasters, jumping in and they do their show and then they want different people to give feedback and they do little updates and they go version up to version. That's cool. But this idea of like workflows outside of just the very standard thing that we started with, which is we've edited a thing, can you give us some notes and we'll change it? This idea of actually like collaborating whilst making stuff is kind of new to us, so doing a voice track that then gets used in an edit, but also reviewing the voice track separately from the edit is kind of this cool expansion of the use case, which is jazzy. And so we've also added image review and PDF review. And what we've found pretty cool with the PDF review, somebody will upload a script that somebody like yourself, Sarah, would have to record. And they'll upload it and they'll put notes on the script about how they would like different things said. And so you can see that, and then you do your record, you upload it to the same folder. They look at it, they make notes for changes. You hear that, you see that, and then you do the change, put it up, and they go approved. It's all just done in one spot.
It's nice when everything is just like stays in one place, and you're not sending the audio through Dropbox, but then they change it through email, and then the script is coming in through a Word doc. And so it's nice when everything could be all in one place like that, for sure.
Cool. Well, please feel free to experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Jake, if only there's like someone working on this solution to do that.
If only there was one all-in-one place where you could keep
that's basically what Jake's trying or working on. I'd say trying. He is doing it, not complete. It's like a work in progress to get start to finish. A video pipeline is the name of it, but it's a project management tool. And so, and what they're all kind of seem to be missing something to be like perfect, because it's a lot of work to get all these tools in all these places. And that's why we have like Studio Binder and Webster and like all these separate tools. But it'd be great if we could kind of get them all together in one place, so we're not like logging in different places and, oh, my file's over on this, where did I put this? So the more I like this kind of like coming together with these tools. And I like what you mentioned, and I'm hoping that you and Jake could find a solution so that he has a good tool for his users, and then maybe it would be a good tool to incorporate with Wipster to have these project management tools, so it's all one place. I don't know Jake, who the hub is going to be, but it'd be great to have one hub to go to. Yeah,
I like the
sound. There's always 1,000 hubs. Hubs. Everyone wants to be the king, right?
Yeah,
or the queen. We do have 2 questions. The first one is from Frank. Hey, Frank, thanks for joining us. He said, how could this new platform benefit videographers and content creators who are still getting their footing?
Still getting their footing. So you're semi-professional, I guess, like the idea that you're coming into the scene and you might have some clients and you're, not charging too much or doing a couple of free projects for your show reel. Well, joyously, Webster also has a free plan for just that case. We've got a limited product where you can create your project folders, you can upload the assets, invite your collaborators and reviewers, and do the work on like quite compressed content and within a small amount of storage, so that we can offer it for free. Otherwise, if it's too much, then it costs us too much and we can't do it. So that product is available for people just starting out, so they can look a bit more professional when they're sharing work with clients, not like a weird Dropbox link that sometimes doesn't work. And start to get into that idea of professional tooling and working with customers in a way that they are now kind of expecting. They expect somebody to have a review product, whether it's us or others, doesn't matter. but they expect it. So if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend money because you haven't got anything, you're just starting out, jump into the free product. Just go to our site and you'll find it right there.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for the question and thanks for that answer. And Rollo, I know you were talking about a few things that were new like this past year, and I didn't know if there were any new like cool new features being added in the next month or so or in the next year that you can talk about.
Yeah, well, there's something which I'll talk about a little bit, and it's kind of, when you think about our product, we've innovated a lot on the collaboration side, which is people having a shared space, uploading things, and then sharing them out to reviewers who are not in the project, like a client's not in your project. But we haven't really innovated a lot for these people out here to do a lot of reviews. At the very, very beginning, it was like, I get shared a link, I click it, it opens, it knows who I am, and I just make comments. What we're finding now is that there's a lot of reviewers. We had a look at the analytics, and there's some reviewers who are so busy that they're looking at over 1,000 different assets in a month, and they're making over 1,700 different notes across those assets every month, just constantly. And it's all separate share links. And we're like, oh my God, what have we done? We've just made their life absolute hell. So as you can imagine, we've built, and it's currently, being built, a product called Review Inbox. And what that is that when anything gets shared with you, it turns up in an inbox. It's a little bit like, the pitch is a little bit like it's Slack meets Instagram, in the sense you've got project folders and you've got like an Instagram feed of all the stuff you're supposed to review. And when somebody has made some changes, some comments, it pops up to the top and you can see the comments, you can reply, you can approve, you can say no. And so you're in this like really, really quick collaborative space. And it's been designed to feel like other products you already use. Like everyone uses Instagram. Lots of people use Slack. So they understand the concept of channels and assets coming from certain people and updates and everything else. So it's kind of a private social network for review. And that's coming out at some point. Again, I don't know when.
That sounds really cool. That's awesome. What's your favorite feature overall on Webster?
Favorite feature? I still, it's kind of nerdy, but I still love the fact that every comment is automatically a to-do item that can then get ticked off. And there's no administration between any of it, that I don't have to set something up and then tick it off myself. Somebody over there makes a cool comment, somebody replies to it, somebody agrees, it pops up, I agree with the change, I do the change, I say done, I upload the next version. There's no administration. It's just you're doing exactly what you need to do and you get it done. So I just love that. It's so simple.
Easy. Make it easy.
I have a quick question for you, Rollo. And I'm curious how. So like, say we put up a video for client review, and so we typically, what I typically just copy and paste a link on there, and I'll email them the link and like, hey, please provide some feedback. But say when after we do that, or is there a way for those same people who've already reviewed it on version 2, when we put up version 2 to automatically get notified a new version is up there? Does that happen, or do we have to send an invite each time, or is there a way to do that? I'm just curious. I mean, maybe we don't want to. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. Currently, you have to share each version with people, because we've had feedback that because early on you had a thing where when you shared yourself to an asset, that person could just see everything that happened with that asset, and people were really against that. They were like, "Look, I upload version 1, I show the client makes notes, I upload version 2, and it's an internal review to make sure that we've covered everything. And then we upload version 3, and then it's back to the client." So with that workflow, it meant that was broken, and people like discovered that stuff was going to the client that they didn't know. It was like they'd lost control. So it's now that you have to share everything, but now we're getting the reverse, which is
it's a love-hate, right? Like, we want to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now people are saying, look, we work with them all the time. We're really close. They can see everything. It doesn't matter. And so we have a new thing that will come out again at some point, where you can add a reviewer to a project. So anything that's uploaded goes to their inbox. So you don't have to do share links. They don't have to write their name, blah, blah, blah. It's just instant. And it goes up, it pops. They do the notes. They turn up. You do the to-do list. So that's going to be pretty cool. And that means that people have the choice, add them to the project or share an asset. And that'll give you both ways.
Yeah, a story for when this was actually for Takeoff Video, and I could see, what was an issue is we would upload a video and have and only inviting the client at this point. But then when we go to share it for broadcast, and this is when we were doing a lot more broadcast, we don't really seem to be doing the file delivery broadcast anymore. But we'd be sending them a link for the their station reps to get this video. So we basically add them to the project. So since they're added to the project, the next time we do a campaign with them and we upload a video, they get notified. And so our client was getting really mad at me personally, because she was like, hey, I don't want to advertise on that station. Don't let them know that we have a new video, because they're bugging the heck out of me. And so that was the only problem that we had, is because they didn't want to deal with their station rep, because they didn't want to advertise on that particular station for this new campaign. Anyways.
Yeah, well, that's that whole thing of software not letting you be in control, So as soon as you feel like you've lost the strings, you lose confidence. And that's, of course, why we first did that change. But yeah, and with this new way of doing it is that it's a project. You add them to the project, and then when the project's over, you close it. You don't close that client account. You just close that project. And so there is no update for anyone to see.
Yeah, I do like the update you're talking about, to be able to make them basically kind of our level of what we see when it gets updated, just because certain clients we are super close with, we worked with them for years. If it gets if it's their project, we're fine with them seeing it, but they've already they've already been around.
And the really cool thing is that when you add them as a reviewer, they are tagged in the product as a reviewer. So when they look at an asset that you've uploaded, if you look at it, it doesn't say it's out for review, But as soon as this person has a look, it says it's in review, because it knows who it is. And then it says, do you want to say that you're done with the review? Whereas for yourself, it wouldn't turn up in your inbox, because you're not assigned as a reviewer to the project. You're a collaborator.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, really smooth.
So next month, right? It's going to be launching that feature.
Oh, and what is it? 20 to 12? Probably 1:30. 1:30. Easy.
We did have Richard ask in the chat about pricing, if you're able to talk about pricing a little bit.
Pricing. So Richard, pricing. Well, it ranges from free to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it depends how you're trying to solve a problem. So the free, which I was talking about earlier, is that you're essentially a very small beginning type of group. You can have up to 2 people in the account and share it with everyone, and you're just trying to get off the ground. And you can't add your own branding, you can't do full HD, you can't build a library, but it's free, so you can start. Then you go to the paid account, $25 a month per user, per team member. All reviewers are free, and that gives you a lot more storage, HD. It gives you video workflows behind the scenes, which is the review and approval and everything. And every team member that you add, it goes up by $25 a month. So if you have a team of 10, it's only $250 a month. I mean, team of 10, that's a lot of people. And so that works where it's self-service. You have to use credit card. You have access to our custom support, but you don't have an account rep. Then you go to enterprise, and that's where it starts to become a lot more expensive, because they want a lot more concierge. So they get assigned an account manager. We go through security reviews, pen tests. We go through procurement. We put up their account so it's organizational structured first, which means that you're a huge company and you've got multiple divisions. So we build that for them, whereas the other accounts are like one team. So you've got that as you go along, and it's really cool, because just anecdotally, we find a lot of people who start on the free account, they may not be completely new to the industry, but they just want to try it inside their huge company. So they play around, they invite the head of marketing to look at something. He or she goes, oh my God, this is amazing. And then they go to procurement, and then they adopt the enterprise version. So for us, it's a really nice way of getting into big companies as well.
Very cool. Thank you. Richard, I hope that answers the questions that you had. Jake, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I have 2 quick questions. Hopefully they're quick. One is about the reviewers. How does a reviewer leave their name and mark that they are the person reviewing without being logged in? Do they enter their name every time and it just shows that this is the person that's reviewing?
So there's a couple of things there. One is that if you share it with just a generic link, it doesn't know who the person is. So they do have to put in their name and email address if they want to get notifications. They can just put in a name and just make comments, but they won't get any updates. The next level is that you invite them via email. So you open up the sharing dialog, and it has you can add email addresses, write them a note, and it shares a separate link to each person. So when they click open from the email, it already has their name assigned. It's already got the security that they opened it from their email address, so it can't really be anyone else unless they forward it to someone. And from that point on, it knows who they are through IP tracking. And so when they come back to it, it's like, oh, hello, Anna, and off it goes. Then the third level is enterprise, which is they have to go through single sign-on, which is often through SAML, and it means that only people inside that organization are able to access anything. And it means that when you're sent a link, it can be any type of link, but when you click on it, it asks you to log in through your internal service provider at the company, and then it instantly knows who you are, and then it starts tracking your activity at the enterprise level. So IT knows that you're using the product. And so those are kind of the three layers of it.
Okay, that makes sense. But I like that you still have that way that you send a generic link and one client just pops in their name and not anything else required. That's cool.
That's right. Yeah. Some people just upload a link to Twitter and say, hey guys, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then, you'll just have some names. But if you're an account holder, it instantly knows who you are. So you don't have to do anything. You just click on it and it goes, ta-da.
That makes sense. And then my other question was about your versioning. Is it when you upload a new version of a video, does it automatically assign the next version number for you? Okay. Yeah. I know that sometimes, at least the way my workflow at my production company, we would have version 1, version 2, version 3, and they might be a week apart. But then inside of each one of those versions, we would have like 3 or 4 subversions where first we send it to the director, then we send it to the creative director, and those were almost like subversions of their own. So I was just curious if you allowed that kind of version 1.1, 1.2, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we've had requests for that, and then we go through a design thinking process with the people, and it generally ends up, this is like over 60%, which is kind of where you have to make a decision. It turns out that people editing the numbers over time makes their work process more complicated. So they find over time is that if they shared with the customer version 3, and then the next share is version 14, and the customer's like, the last one we saw was 3, you just say, we've done a whole lot of internal work, so all of those exist, so we could do a better job for you, and now you're seeing this one. And it actually makes the customer go, oh man, there's so much cool shit going on here, So that actually works out well. And I know we do have people who say, but I just want to call it something else. And then you just go, but then the system is broken because you have version 1, then version 8. And then someone else who doesn't know that you did that is like, where's version 2 to 7? And they go, they don't exist. And they go, well, how am I supposed to know that? And so on it goes,
That's totally fair. And you can get into making it too specific to meet one person's needs that doesn't meet
anybody else. Yeah, it goes crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have any plans on adding pre-production or production type of project management tools?
Absolutely not. No, I think with software, it's really important to keep really narrow on what you try and solve. Because software is as complicated as you want it to be. Like you can go into one small feature and you can dig for 200 years and you never really get to the bottom of it. As soon as you add whole other workflows around it, you've now got this hugely complex thing and now this hugely complex thing. And so there's really no point in going beyond. So for us, we'll only ever be review and approval. But as we grow, it'll be review and approve everything. So upload whatever you want, share it to people to the inbox, and they can all review everything. But with this new API I was talking about, whenever that shows up, that means that integrations to those products that live in the pre and the post will be relatively easy to do.
Cool. Well, we just had an interesting question from Donald. With the Adobe extension, can a client actually sit in during an editing session?
No. I think what you mean, Donald, is can they see you editing live through the panel? And no, the answer is no. But what the panel does for the editor is that they don't have to export from Premiere and then upload it to Webster and then try and get the comments back. The panel just means that you click share and it automatically encodes, uploads, shares it. You go off and have a cup of tea, and when you come back, all the comments are already in the timeline of the edit suite. So you don't have a real-time, edit changes with the customer, but every time you hit share, the changes that you've done go to that person. So some people hit share every 15 minutes, some people hit share every 2 days. It just depends how quickly you want to go out.
Hope that answers your question, Donald. Okay, so one of the last questions I have here. What are your thoughts on the future of Wipster and the landscape of our industry?
So if you mean our industry as being video, then I've got a view of that. But if you mean our industry as like creative work, then I have a view on that.
Let's hear both.
Okay, let's hear both. Here we go.
Yeah.
There's an intersection in there somewhere. So the future of video as an industry, if you look at graphic design, for example, that's probably 10 years ahead of video in terms of people being able to do it themselves. Desktop publishing came out, and now you've got products like Canva, where you can go in, there's a level of templating and colors and stuff, and you can do stuff and kind of get away with it. With video, it hasn't quite got there. Lots of products have come out where they say, hey, upload some stuff to your iPhone and we'll automatically edit it, and you have a look at it and it's nonsensical. Like video in terms of time-based is quite difficult to get right, because even if you're not trying to, it has to tell a story. And to template stories is not a simple thing. It's a really complex thing. So as we move towards much better utilization of machine learning and AI, that is where we're going to start to be able to build some AI models that will essentially recreate the editing style of editors that are really good, because it will know why they've made decisions and be able to make them at the same time. So that will come along, and that will mean that there's a lot of work at the moment that's kind of mechanical editing, I would say, like shot list, blah blah blah, all that stuff that will go away. And then there's other pieces in post-production around color grading, sound mixing, all those pieces, they'll go away as well, because that'll be automatic and you won't be able to tell the difference between if somebody did it or the software did it. So a lot of this stuff will mean that the people who are doing those tasks won't do them anymore. And sometimes that's scary, because they're like, oh, but my career is being a color gradist. And you go, well, it's not, but what are the skills that you learned being a color gradist or a color grader? In terms of not just playing with pixels, but how do you think and how can you apply that thinking to something else? Because humans will always be trying to stay on the highest order that the machines can't do, and so automation of car building, for example, people were outraged back in the day. Oh my God, what about all these people doing these manual tasks? And you're like, do you actually want to do them? Not really, so that's kind of where I see that going. But in terms of the whole creative industry across everything, there's going to be this beautiful layer of automation that allows people to iterate quicker. Great design, and I think everything's got a level of design to it, whether it's video making or fashion or something. There'll be a level of automation from software that will be like when Michelangelo was doing paintings, and he had all these other people who actually did the painting for him. He could experiment much quicker because there's lots of hands up on the walls. And so in the future, you'll have software doing that for you. So you can rapidly experiment with ideas without having to do stuff for 7 days to see if it works or not. You just go, let's try this thing. And then within 10 minutes, it's rendered and you're having a look and you're like, it doesn't quite work. I'll try this. And so I think the quality of content will go up, and the number of people being able to work at a higher level will go up. That doesn't necessarily mean that there'll be more good people. There'll just be more people doing it. And it allows people to focus much more on iteration, which is the only place that I think anything ever gets any good. There is no golden sickle or something. It's like you may have spent 20 years getting really good at one thing. So the first time you do it on this next thing, it's pretty good. But if you think it's good, then you've kind of given up because you know it's the 10th version that's really good, which means you've actually got a career. And when you're new, you're sort of excited because you created anything. Like something exists. Oh my God, I made something. But people who know what's up have a look at it and go, yeah, you made something. Now, you've got a long journey until that's actually any good. And so I think people will be able to go through that much more succinctly with a lot of machine operations around them. And it should allow more people to be able to express themselves in some way. It doesn't always have to be commercial work. People being able to write a book in 5 minutes. They're coming up with this idea with characters and they say go and it writes itself. Things like that. I think it'll be exciting.
Sounds exciting. It does.
Yeah.
Ryan wants to know, he said, I may have missed this, but does it work with DaVinci?
Absolutely not.
There you go, Ryan.
Yeah, there you go, Ryan. So sorry. No, we've doubled down on Adobe because Adobe's cool. We've got really good connections with them, good partnership. And Adobe, when you look at what they're doing in terms of innovation of the underlying piece of what I was just talking about machine learning, AI, they're on the way. I don't see other people doing that at this point. Blackmagic and Avid and stuff. I don't see them doing that. So we double down on Adobe.
Nice. I'm an Adobe user. I like it.
I have a question, and probably more for Justin than myself, but he's real app heavy. Like every time we use software, and he's like, when are they going to update their app? We need this. And which I don't work from my phone because I'm normally in the office and like I have a computer at my desk. And so it's just easier. So where are you on making like the next iPhone update? And also, I don't know if you've already done this. Like when you use the app on your phone, I don't think I could make it horizontal and see the video, but maybe I just haven't updated it, or maybe it's not like,
no.
Is that going to be a thing? Or not
we have the worst mobile app on the App Store, like by far. Emery Wells, when he saw it come out, he just said, that's embarrassing. He's the guy who runs Frame, and I'm like, it is embarrassing. Like we did what we could, man. Jesus. And so for quite a long time, we've been reimagining what review and things mean on the phone. And that's kind of what I was saying about Slack meets Instagram. That's what we're doing under the hood. And it's kind of depressing because it means you don't see any change for a long time until all of a sudden it's everything. And that's kind of bad with software. You want to give people incremental change. But because we're building it all on brand new platforms, software platform, we can't build the old one up and then switch. We have to just do nothing and build over here and then switch. So it's kind of depressing for the customers, but hold strong. There's going to be a pretty amazing experience come out sometime this year, I would say.
Okay, and is that specifically like the app, or is that Webster like on both platforms, like on desktop and on phone? On phone, you're launching updates.
Everything. It's going to be one product that breaks to every screen size, and it's also native apps with push notifications and everything. And you'll be able to turn and it plays full screen. It's going to be cool.
I got to. So I like the feature that we could automatically add to Vimeo. Can you add YouTube? We already do. You can already add straight to YouTube. Yeah, you can't pull down from that, but you can send it to them. But we can post to our YouTube because right now we still, I think till this day we manually download from Webster, then upload back to YouTube. And so
go into our, up the top, we've got an extensions or app store or something. Go in there and then turn on the integration. It'll get you to log into your account and then they're connected.
Hear that, Corbin? I don't know if you're doing that today, but this would have saved you some time. Okay. Last question for me is, like, you mentioned that you're no longer going to be CEO and you're going to have Jimmy step in. And so I was curious, what does that mean for you? Like, are you just kind of taking taking a step back because you want to enjoy your family life? Like what's going on?
Oh, it's nice having a family. No, that's part of everything, of course. But the point of moving to a CEO who's much more of a professional business CEO person than a guy who's a founder who makes stuff up and hopes for the best is that the company's at a stage now where it just needs to operate better and bigger. Some customers are getting sad because certain things haven't been fixed up, and it's like you need to operate the whole thing better. And also, as we move more into the enterprise, we need more skills in the team around how to work with really large companies. And I'm just a guy who used to make videos, who came up with an idea and kind of got it off the ground. So it's kind of a natural thing that you hand over to somebody who can just do this. And then I'm going to go off and start some other stuff. And that's kind of my sweet spot, is coming up with a cool idea, dragging some people along, proving it, and then handing it over.
And then rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. That's it.
Jake, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we close it out?
No, I don't think so. I found this super helpful, and I like it. So thank you.
Cool
beans.
Awesome.
Well, I think we're ready to wrap it up. Blake, what do you think?
I think we could wrap it up. I think we should go around and
we'll do our round.
Say how you can find us. I don't even know what that means for me, but sure.
Rollo, at the end, we always go around and everyone just kind of says where they can, you just tell everybody where they can find you on social media, website, wherever. And so we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, the company is called Webster, and WIP stands for Work in Progress, WIP. So you're a Webster when you work on stuff. So just Google that and you'll find everything. You'll find the homepage, you'll find Facebook group, you'll find Twitter, you'll find YouTube with all our videos, blah, blah, blah. Because it's a unique name, it means we have everything.
Awesome. Jake, what about you?
You can find me on LinkedIn as Jake Rorta, or on Instagram as pipeline.io.
Great. Blake?
Opposite web. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. If you type in my name, you'll find me, or visit one of our websites, blairmedia.net or shoots.video.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm Sarah Marintz. You can find me at sarahmarintz.com and Sarah Marintz on Instagram. And thank you, Rollo, so much for being here, for all the information you gave, and just everything. This is super awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun chatting, Sarah and Jake and Blake. It's nice that everyone's got their home studios. I'm jealous. I don't have a home studio. So good luck out there.
Thanks. Have fun in COVID-free New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
You know it.
That party. That sounds fun. I'm jealous.
Party every day.
Yeah.
Party every day. All right.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys. Yeah. And for anyone who wants to watch it again, you can find it on the YouTube page. And make sure to watch Brick Madness. That's your homework. How to do it for Justin.
Yeah, nice. Nicely done.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
You might be looking at Shoot Stop Video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me? B, just giving me options and having me handle it? Or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoot Stop Video, and happy shooting.